In this video, you will learn why Bitcoin is actually king, while others like meme coins, AI agents, but especially Trump and Melania meme coins are losers. So let's get right into it. Therefore, I want to share my 4 learnings in this current crypto crash at the 2nd of February, right now, the weekend, where liquidity is low and a lot of the altcoins are bleeding while Bitcoin is still like standing quite strong. And one important learning, the first one is very simple. The younger the capital, the younger the coin or the token is, the more scared this capital is. So if there was a recent surge, for instance, just at the beginning of this year, like in January or maybe in December, the capital came flooding into the coin or token, the more scared it is, meaning in a time of crisis. Right now we have a lot of fear and doubt and uncertainty, especially because of the Trump tariffs. Last week or 2 weeks ago, there was like the FUD because of the new China AI DeepSeek. So the market, especially in crypto, where there's a lot of risk capital, is extremely scared and is getting on the sidelines easily. And of course, the younger this capital is deployed, the more easily it gets out on the sideline again and the token bleeding a lot. So let's look at some examples. So when we look, for instance, at the AI16Z token, we can see that a lot of capital has been deployed only very recently. The token is quite young. So especially in December, at the end of December, there was a huge surge in price. And in this year, at every step of the FUD, there was a massive outflow of capital again. And right now we come back to the prices like at the beginning of December almost. We might even go lower. It depends. It's a very young project. There's not there as much trust as in other projects and cryptos and tokens. And there's a lot of competition as well in the AI Launchpad projects. Let's look at another project for this instance. So when we look at Virtuals protocol, which is still the largest AI agent launchpads, we see it's exactly the same chart as with AI16Z. So it's a general pattern that we follow. So especially in December, there was a lot of capital coming in. The protocol was valued at, I think, almost 4 billion. And now at every kind of FUD moment, the capital was getting on the sidelines again, was flooding out. There was at some point, some recoveries as well. Yes, so there is still some trust in this protocol, but not enough compared to other tokens, compared to other projects, and especially compared to Bitcoin. Therefore, these projects are bleeding the most. Let's look now at another token, which I find very interesting. So we can see there were quite recent spikes in the price. The first spike was because of the launch of Trump and Melania meme coin, which brought a lot of liquidity into the Solana blockchain, and they used like Jupiter a lot for swapping in and swapping out of these tokens. And therefore the price was going up, then it was going back down. And then there were some good news about fees generated and fees being used for token burns, and that, yeah, there's like massive part of the supply of Jupiter is going to be burned, which was very bullish for the token itself. And we can see like these capital spikes were also quite recent. It was a lot of fresh capital that was going into the token, but also now with the recent FUD situations, it's also leaving quickly and getting on the sidelines. But still, it's a token. If you would have bought in like as constantly or dollar cost average base, you wouldn't be down so bad. But it's still, it's for you important to understand. Don't buy when there's some all-time high being reached in altcoin, and don't just follow the money directly, but rather wait for pullbacks and wait for events like this to get the token at a much better price. So after this, now let's look at the second learning, which is Bitcoin is the king. So if you want to play it as safe as possible in crypto, you basically focus on Bitcoin. A lot of people also say sometimes it's altcoin season, but most of the time it's Bitcoin season. So even if the crypto market is just going up and you make much more money in altcoins, still you can play it safe and just keep on investing in Bitcoin, because Bitcoin outperforms most of the altcoins. One big reason is the number of altcoins is expanding so quickly, and there's a lot of competition between different blockchains and altcoins, meme coins, AI agents, AI launchpads, and we don't know which one will do well, which one will not do well. There's a lot of new innovation as well going on, but Bitcoin is basically standalone in its use case as digital gold. And it's the oldest crypto asset, and it's probably the last one to go. And therefore, it is the lowest risk. It is also like the most trusted. It is the oldest, it is the most decentralized. There's no foundation or anything that is controlling supply or that is selling off on the market. It has the most hodlers as well. Hodlers means it's people that just hold on to the Bitcoin, never sell. And these hodlers are keeping on accumulating. The biggest or the most known hodler is MicroStrategy, which just keeps on raising new capital by selling shares, diluting the shares, and using the capital to keep on buying and purchasing Bitcoin. Of course, another important player are the Bitcoin ETFs, biggest one by BlackRock, and they also keep on accumulating, especially now in these times of crashes and dips. You see that Bitcoin is just not crashing that hard because there's such a strong hodler base that just won't sell. And while in other coins and tokens, the capital is very volatile and is not hodling the coins and tokens as much. And besides, we have this institutional and government backing. We have, for instance, quite a high likelihood that Trump is gonna implement a Bitcoin strategic reserve. We have countries like El Salvador. We have more and more countries actually talking about keeping a strategic reserve in Bitcoin. So this is extremely bullish and will give much more trust for Bitcoin. Therefore, for all these reasons, Bitcoin has the lowest downside risk, still has a very attractive upside, although it's already the biggest. You don't have to worry so much about timing it perfectly, while with all the other coins, basically all of them, you need to have some timing and you need to have a feeling about when to get in, when to get out. And you might not even make as much money as if you would simply invest into Bitcoin if you're not really good at playing the crypto market perfectly with all the crashes and all the risks. If this video has given you any value, please hit the like button now quickly. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to this channel so you don't miss out on the next videos. Also, if you need any personal assistance in setting up your crypto cash flow portfolio according to your personal goals and risk tolerance, you can book a coaching call with me directly. Check the description of this video for further info. Now let's look at the third learning. The third learning is why Trump and Melania meme coins will keep bleeding. If we look at the charts, here we have Trump. And we see Trump has been bleeding ever since. There was some initial surge, of course there was some hype around it, there was a lot of attention around it, a lot of the centralized exchanges got in and bought a lot of the supply. But from then on, the token just kept on bleeding and going down. And we can see for Melania, it's even worse. It has lost even more of its capital. So what are the reasons for that? One reason is that there's no real community behind these meme coins. There's no real social media activity and there's no real engagement. So if we look at the Melania meme, we can see there's basically not a lot of followers, and there's also not a lot of postings. Basically, it's just 2 postings. So nobody is taking care of a community. Nobody is posting anything. If we look at Trump meme coin, we can see there's a lot of more followers, but still there is not a lot of postings. It's mainly repostings of stuff. There's not very much of engagement going on. So nobody is really behind these meme coins and actively doing something with it. So this is very, very bad for a meme coin. Then we have another problem, that the liquidity is not locked. So we have a lot of liquidity in Meteora pools, so in decentralized exchanges, very high liquidity, but it's not locked. So it can be drained permanently also from basically the founders of these meme coins, who have created these liquidity pools and who don't have their supply, the initial supply locked. I think for Trump token, there's 10% of the total supply already available for the founders, and for the Melania meme coin, it's like 30%. And over the next month and years, all the supply will be unlocked for the founders. And this, combined with the non-locked liquidity pools, allows a lot of this liquidity to be constantly drained. Also, there's like the centralized exchanges who are already at a huge loss, I would say, because they purchased these tokens at a much higher price. So they will also try to minimize their losses and cut their losses, and also probably not hold on to them when they know they have this huge selling pressure from the founder side. And lastly, with this chart that we have seen, we have basically no trust of a community of any holder in the token, because everyone who bought is at a loss, is currently sitting at a loss. So everyone is frustrated with the token. Everyone is frustrated for all future project of Trump. So this is a huge problem. And in crypto, trust is everything. And if there's no trust, people will just keep on selling. And for the founders, it's also not attractive to put in capital into the token and restore this trust. I don't think Trump family is caring for that. They just try to get as much out of this token as possible. So one way could be to short the token, for instance, on centralized exchanges and perpetuals, or in Hyperliquid, if you prefer decentralized way. But there's still one risk. So in general, shorting is a good idea for this token. If I would short one token, I would focus on Trump and Melania, maybe even more Melania than Trump. One risk that there is that, for instance, there's some announcement that the founders say all future unlocks will get burned instantly, so there's 100% supply on the market now. Then it might be interesting for centralized exchanges to basically push a short squeeze. So there are already a lot of shorts on the token, of course. So they say, okay, it makes sense for them to push the token price up and get a short squeeze, and then the market makers of these centralized exchange manage the token in a way that it gets more stable or might even grow in value. So this is one big risk that you have to keep in mind, but right now there are no indications for that. Now let's look at my fourth learning. My fourth learning is to look at altcoins with fundamentals only. Of course, we all like meme coins. We like the AI agents that were surging in price. A lot of people made a lot of money, but it's a zero-sum game because these kind of tokens don't have a real utility, and they are just based on a hype and attention and a community that might be in the trenches for these tokens. It's just too many, and they get launched permanently, so nobody knows which ones are actually valuable. The time will tell, and you can speculate on that or you can't. It's really hard to tell. So what altcoins do I like? I like the ones, for instance, I look at the total value locked. So I like DeFi Llama for that. I just go to the section of chains, and then you can see, for instance, all the blockchains, how much total value is locked on them, what are the fees, what is the amount of stable coins in there, what's the 24-hour volume, the total value locked ratio towards market cap. So I personally like Solana in this matrix a lot. I like Sui also, but I also like especially Hyperliquid. So another metric that I like a lot is the fees and the revenue generated. So if we look at something like Radium, for instance, we see that the liquidity providers for Radium decentralized exchange are earning a lot of fees, but a part of fees also goes to the protocol itself. So these are also important metrics if you want to see the token or the protocol as kind of a business that is generating revenue, that is giving a real use case. So yeah, this is basically the second part. Then the question is this altcoin providing some critical use cases, some infrastructures? Does it have a lot of users that are actively using it? And if you can say yes to these kind of points, then it means this altcoin will survive and persist through the crashes and also recover well, because it will mean that there's demand for this. Then tokenomics in general is important. So how much of the tokens are already in circulation, how much is unlocked and when is it unlocked. Also, are there token burns from the fees that the protocol is generating? Are the tokenomics deflationary or inflationary? So is the supply permanently just increasing, or is there also some burn mechanisms and from the fees that the token burn is higher than the release of new tokens in the total supply? So if it is definitely deflationary, that is very, very bullish. With all these points in mind, I personally like a lot Solana, the Solana blockchain. On Solana, I like Jupiter the most as a protocol. Of course, a lot of people say Radium is good, or buying an Orca swap as a decentralized exchanges that have a lot of volume and also generating a lot of fees are very interesting. But Jupiter is the aggregator, but is also having a lot of own protocols and exclusive partnerships, like with Meteora, for instance. Jupiter also deployed the meme coins, for instance, of Trump and Melania, and did a very good job. So they might have a lot of use cases also for institutional clients in the future. They also have launch pads, perpetual exchange, and Jupiter might be at some point in the future, might be like kind of the real institutional finance hub of Solana. Then what I also like a lot is Morpho. Morpho is a decentralized lending and borrowing platform similar to Aave, but it is more sophisticated than Aave. It has better rates. So if you borrow, for instance, stablecoin against your Bitcoin or your Ethereum, you get better rates, and it has a little bit less functions. So if we look at Morpho, we can see 4 billion of total value locked, and we can see this total value locked has been increasing all through the month and is keep on increasing. So the protocol is really, really well used and also integrated, for instance, in Coinbase. So you can directly borrow your stable coins against your Bitcoin and Ethereum on the Coinbase app. So there's a lot of trust for Morpho, and I think also Swissborg, centralized exchange, is using Morpho and has integrated Morpho. This is a huge use case that is basically merging centralized exchange usage and decentralized usage, and this is a huge advantage also compared to Aave, which is still like the main player, but with the current market cap, I think Morpho is strongly undervalued, and we can see also just 0.7% of tokens will be unlocked in 10 months. This is not a lot. And lastly, I like Hyperliquid currently a lot. It has a lot of total value locked as well. It has a very, very huge use case of decentralized perps exchange, and it's generating a lot of fees and a lot of revenue. 100% of the revenue is fees, and the fees are used to buy back and burn the Hyper token. So as you can see in the chart of across the last 3 months, for instance, it didn't crash very hard in the recent dips with the recent FUD, held pretty well, and I think has a lot of upside left. And so this is also something I would accumulate around the $20 level, the low $20 level, without any worries. So I hope this video helped you a lot, and if so, please like and subscribe to my channel, and see you in the next one.